It's a wonderful, wonderful day. Great morning to you. I'm Andrea M. Stuckey. I'm the founder of Live Life Love Coaching, Divorce Women Unite, and Divorce to Destiny Academy, where we help women rebuild, redefine, and liberate their lives following separation and divorce. I am the divorce liberator. I'm a life coach, speaker, and I'm also the author of 4 amazing books, including one #1 Amazon bestseller. And so I want to come and talk to you this morning about the web of abuse. October is National Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and I want to bring some awareness to emotional abuse. So I'm going to give people a moment to join the broadcast. If you're live, say hello. Make sure you're hearting it and thumbsing it up, right? And so I wanted to come this morning and just share with you how important emotional abuse is and the challenge that people have with it. You know, physical abuse, is pretty easy to identify, right? Because it's usually physical harm, physical bruises, physical marks. I'm sorry, I'm out of my words this morning, right? But there's a physical appearance after that type of abuse. But emotional abuse and verbal abuse are a little more challenging to identify. And so I want to share with you today some information about emotional abuse and kind of steer you along the way of some things that you need to be concerned about. And so what's also interesting about the fact of emotional abuse is that those who have suffered it, whether it be in a marriage, in a relationship, or in a home of origin, the environment that they grew up, they generally have some residue that they carry in their life. And I'm going to tell you what that looks like, right? So we're talking about the web of abuse this morning. I always start with a quote or a scripture. So I have a quote for you that I want to share this morning. And again, if you're joining the broadcast live, go ahead and say hello so that I can see you and know who's watching the broadcast, okay? So listen, you matter and you deserve to live a life filled with color, joy, peace, and fulfillment. You deserve joy. You deserve peace, and you deserve fulfillment. And what happens is when you have been in an emotional abusive relationship, I have been, it robs you of your joy. It robs you of your peace, right? And it robs you of your ability to thrive in life. And so let's talk about what emotional abuse looks like. You know, abuse is all about control. Right? Any type of abuse is about control and manipulation. And so what we have to understand is that the abusers themselves usually try to provoke fear, guilt, and shame. And oftentimes you're trying to wonder what is happening, right? When these characteristics start to manifest, it's really kind of, it takes you off guard, right? Because this is the person who says they love you, right? And it usually starts very small with subtle comments, even maybe in a form of sarcasm or humor, right? And so it will make you do a double take. Okay. And so I know all about this. And these are the red flags in relationships as you move forward that you need to be aware of. And so I'm going to go for my notes. I don't want to miss any information today. Again, if you're live, say hello. Let me know that you're out there. So 1, abuse is not love. Let me say this first. Abuse is not love. When one partner significantly tries to control the other by undermining his or her, yes, men and women are abusers, her confidence, worthiness, growth, trust, or emotional stability. This is what abusers do. Now, I want you to understand that generally the motive behind abusers is that they themselves have their own low self-esteem. This is how they try to compensate for their lack of belief in themselves, their lack of ability to control some area of their life, and it's usually projected onto others. And the very interesting thing about emotional abuse comes in cycles. If you watch families, right, and I actually went through this in one of my relationships, because I was being abused in one way, I didn't feel I had control in that area. So I tried to control other people in other areas of my life. Right? And we may do that in a variety of different ways, right? And so you need to be careful that this is not going from generation to generation, from person to person. And that's why I call it the web of abuse. So we want to be able to identify what abuse looks like, call it for what it is. And if it's you who's the abuser, you can get the help that you need. And you can also point it out to the other person who may be abusive to you. All right, so let's look at 6 behavior traits of most abusive partners. Number 1, they themselves, as I said earlier, have low self-esteem, right? They don't feel good about themselves. So maybe if you really look, there's an area of their life that they're not very confident in, and they may be projecting that onto you to have an area, a level of control in their life. Point number 2, they're very selfish, very self-absorbed, and narcissistic. I'm not going to get into narcissism because we kind of throw that title around a little bit, and narcissism is a bona fide behavior disorder, which deserves a whole nother scope or a whole nother study of itself. Okay. Number 3, they're very needy and demanding of your time and attention. Now, I want to stop right here, especially for the ladies, because this is an area that when you're first dating someone, it can seem very attractive. You know, they want to spend so much time with you. They don't want you to be around anyone else. And you're like, oh, they just love me so much. Be wary. Be careful and pay attention. This is one of the first ways that an abuser will draw you in and isolate you from your family and your friends, right? And they shower you with all this attention, but oftentimes it's really masking their insecurity. So you have to be very careful. Number 4, sometimes abusers have an alcohol or drug problem. Right? They may be abusing alcohol and drugs. And so this is one of the manifestations because of that addiction that kind of manifests in the controlling and unpredictable behavior. Right? And then number 5, a lot of abusive partners are very impulsive. They don't think things through clearly. They don't make good decisions, and they act on impulse. So I want you to make sure that you're paying attention to these signs. So if maybe you were in a relationship and you couldn't really identify if it was abusive or not, or if you're out here in the dating world and you are considering dating again, or perhaps you're already dating, that these are some things that you can look at as you begin to learn more about your potential mate. So remember, abuse is all about controlling, manipulation, and intimidation, right? It puts fear into your heart and your mind. It usually starts out very softly, and then as the abuse continues, it elevates, right? So the first thing that you can do is, 1, you want to be able to identify if your current relationship is abusive or a past relationship was abusive. Okay, and I'm going to follow up on that in just a second. The second thing you want to do is really, really think about why you chose your mate. This is the tough spot. See, we can blame them for their behaviors, but we have to understand that we had a part to play in that role, right? So what attracted us, what part of those behaviors attracted us to that individual? Was it familiar? Did you grow up in that type of environment? And maybe it wasn't romantic, right? But maybe you're used to a little chaos. Maybe you're used to a little pushback and arguing and belittling and sarcasm. You've got to ask yourself that question. Why did you choose your mate? The third thing is that, why did you put up with the abuse? The first time that you identified those negative commentary, that sarcasm, why did you allow it to happen again and again and again and again? And these were questions that I had to answer when I went to therapy, because I also have a role, right? Listen, no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. That's a quote by Eleanor Roosevelt, one of my favorites. And somewhere along the line, we consented to that behavior. We consented to that abuse. And then what happens is, farther down in the story, so to speak, it may be more difficult to leave if you're in a family, children, and that kind of thing. But generally, most of the time, there were some red flags, as we call them, early on in the relationship, and we ignore them, didn't identify them for whatever reason. And then point number 4, you really need to discuss, you need to confront this issue, discuss this behavior, right, with your maybe current mate, or you need to just kind of do some self-evaluation with yourself, maybe go to therapy, maybe hire a coach so that you can kind of work your way through some of these challenges that you went through in that emotionally abusive relationship. Now, here's the other caveat that I want to share with you. When you come out of an abusive relationship, especially if it's been an extended period of time, you have developed some patterns of behavior. I had developed some patterns of behavior, right? And so it's important that you recognize that people pleasing, oftentimes that comes out of an abusive relationship because you're walking on eggshells, trying not to set this person off, trying not to allow this person to say something negative to you or put you down. So you begin to walk on eggshells and you become a people pleaser, not only in that relationship, but in other areas of your life, because subconsciously you're afraid of being put down, right? You're afraid of being rejected. Right? And so this people-pleasing thing, this people-pleasing piece of our personality has to come under wraps. You have to learn to set some boundaries. And if this is an area in your life that you're struggling with, this may be some of the residue that you have from an abusive relationship. Point number 2, and remember, the abusive relationship may not necessarily be a romantic relationship. This can be something you've been carrying from childhood. So you really want to evaluate and take some time and look at that. Another behavior is very moody. Oftentimes, people who carry their emotions on their sleeve have come out of an emotionally abusive relationship, because when you're in those relationships, they are relationships that are very volatile, right? They're very high and they're very low. And so your emotions expand all over the spectrum. And even when you come out, if you've been in that mode of behavior for years and decades, then you're bringing that right outside with you, because those are patterns that you have created in your life. And so you have to understand that those just don't go away overnight until you actually pinpoint, recognize them, and begin to work on those particular issues, right? And then third, there's several more, but I really want to talk about boundaries, right? If you didn't know how to say no then, it's very difficult for you to learn how to say no now. If you didn't know how to say no in an abusive relationship, you're probably not able to say no or create boundaries in your life now. And in addition, a level of trust. When you've been abused by someone who loved you or said they love you, then oftentimes it's very difficult for you to understand how to be loved again. Real talk. So if these are some challenges that you're noticing in your own life, coming out of an abusive marriage relationship, or maybe abusive, abusive childhood, then these are some things that you want to address, because listen, these patterns of behavior will not go away on their own. Our subconscious mind is so controlling in our life. It is incredible. And you have to do the work. And if you're expecting change in your future relationships without doing any work, without addressing any of these issues, then you're going to be sadly mistaken. Let me tell you, I've been out here as a single woman. I've dated and in relationships for over 9 years. And I have seen the residue of my former relationships manifest in my life. And I've had to actually address those issues, learn more about them, and get help from those issues from coaches and from therapy. Right? So this is your life. Right? And this is a new season. This is a time to devote the time for you, because you deserve it. You deserve a healthy, happy life, and you deserve healthy, happy relationships if that's what you choose in the future, or if you're currently in a relationship. You want it to be the best that it can be, and you want to be responsible for bringing the best you to the table, right? That's my responsibility as an individual. I can't change anyone else. I can't make anyone else get their healing, but I can bring my best self to the table. And I want that for you as well. So again, I just wanted to stop by really quickly and talk about this web of abuse, so we can address it, identify it in your own life, identify it in the lives of others, and identify it in your past relationships so that you can begin to get on that healing journey and have some joy, have some peace in your life, right? So again, my name is Andrea M. Stuckey. If you want to have a consultation with me, a free consultation, you can go to bit.ly/divorce liberator, all lowercase, all one word, bit.ly divorce liberator, all lowercase, all one word. I've been divorced twice. I know what rejection looks like, abandonment, abuse on every single level. But you can overcome it. You can be free on today. You can set a path in motion for growth, healing, and personal development. Let me help you with that journey. In addition, I have a couple of spots left in my Divorce to Destiny Academy. It's going to be starting on this coming Sunday. I believe it's October 13th at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is a 12-week, all-encompassing group coaching program. I only offer it twice a year, and this is the second time I'm offering it this year. We cover forgiveness, self-assessment, dating. We have guest experts who come in from finances, dating after divorce, health and wellness. I don't have my notes in front of me, but this is a wonderful, wonderful program, and the women have received great results. And so I want you to go to the website at least so you can check it out, bit.ly/divorce, the number 2 Destiny Academy, bit.ly/divorce 2 Destiny Academy, all lowercase, all one word. I'd love to see you there. I'd love to see you grow and change. I'd love to see you walk into 2020 in the best position of your life. Again, I'm Andrea M. Stuckey. Have a wonderful and blessed day, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.